welcome to On the Spot. My name is Ronnie Wiley. To my left is Mike Sparks and Jackie Church. Jackie, how are you?
I'm pretty good today. How about
Mike.
you?
I'm doing fabulous. I think I'm doing fabulous. And you guys have a huge event coming up. Fayette County turning 200 years old. Mike, you got involved in this when?
July of 2018. Kind of dropped in our lap.
I would say it got dropped in your lap.
Yeah.
That's less than a year that you guys have to put this big event that's going to go down this month together. Mm-hmm. And Jackie, were you involved back then from the beginning?
Mike called me shortly after he took over, and I picked up the phone and knew what it was, so I hesitated just a little bit, but I knew how good it was in 2013 when we done the Connersville Bicentennial, right. So I wanted to be a part of this one.
Yeah, and Mike, what was your involvement in that Bicentennial?
I was the chairman.
Oh, really? So you had obviously a lot more than 10 months to put that together.
That one went on for about 3.5 years prior and about 4 or 5 months post.
Yeah, and I want to say, I think I interviewed you at the fair one time, getting prepared for that. Yeah. So you had a lot more preparation for that. But since you had that history, you called up the old crew and got it going.
And that's basically what we did when Jenny and I. And Jenny is the co-chair this time around, and really she was before. She just didn't get credit. But we knew, as we considered the whether or not this time, that we already had, the process pretty much in place. We didn't feel like we had to reinvent the wheel this time, and that was very important because we knew we didn't have the time to go through all that prep again. So, yes, we called Jackie early on because she was so much a key part of our celebration last time around, and we have several others that were involved in that we knew would get the job done this time. So it was all about, in a very compressed time frame, getting a group together quickly that we knew we could count on to bring this off, and that has happened. We're ready.
Did you get any new members to be a part of?
Yes, we did. We have some new members. It's actually a mix. I'd say about 2/3 are folks that worked with us before, and the others are new ones that wanted to be a part of it this time around.
Wow. Jackie, now you, and this is I guess this is the program of the Bicentennial, May 16th through the 19th. Can anybody pick this up anywhere?
Yes, at the Bicentennial headquarters, which is at the Red Cross building at Roberts Park. Okay. We're open daily, 11 to 6. And part of the headquarters, we also have our souvenirs available for sale there too. So you can come in and pick up a coverlet, order a book. We have ornaments, commemorative mugs, commemorative coins. We have several things that will be of interest.
Yeah, I mean, this is fabulous. I mean, it has a list of a lot of the people who helped behind the scenes. And did you do the same job this time around as you did last time?
No, last time I was day owner of one day and done some entertainment. I've taken on a few more roles this time to help out.
Jackie's our logistics person, which, that role encompasses primarily everything. Right. She's the behind-the-scenes person that makes sure everything is in place for each event and each day, but she's also headed up entertainment this time around, which we'd like to talk about a minute.
Sure,
and,
absolutely.
Jackie is wearing several hats. Jackie is a unique person in that, I'm sure we've all known people in the past, they take on roles, but sometimes they have trouble completing because they take on maybe too much. I've had a lot of experience with a lot of people through teaching over the years and other background experiences. Jackie is a unique person in that it's like the more you give her to do, the more she wants to do. It's like, give me more, give me more. And the important point is, I never worry about whether or not it's going to be done.
It's going to get done.
That's, our role in the leadership, I've said before, it's like we're the policeman in the intersection just directing traffic. It's people like Jackie that have done the work. Yeah. What we don't sit around at night worrying about is whether or not Jackie's getting the job done. Yeah. Or somebody like Pat Suman, who has, she's also one of our people that has taken on we have a history book.
Yeah.
It's very unique this time around in that you can read all kinds of history about Connersville And if you read through enough different publications, you can find a lot about Fayette County. What's unique about this book is the fact that we have pulled as much together, or as much information together about the county as we can uncover and put it in one book. So it'll be a go-to source in the future, we believe, for research on the outlying area of the county. And we don't think that's ever been done here before.
Wow. Wow, yeah. Fabulous. So you guys have this big event coming up this month. When does it kick off, and what event kicks off this whole 10 months worth of labor of love?
Well, the flag raisings will be done at the courthouse every day at 8 o'clock. The big thing is on Wednesday afternoon, we'll be placing the 10,000 flags in front of the Miller Building.
Yeah.
That's an awesome sight.
Yes.
You just don't realize, and it signifies the number of people in Fayette County that have been of service in our armed forces.
Wow.
So
throughout history, correct?
Throughout history.
Just let that sink in a minute. You know, you hear the phrase, freedom isn't free.
Right.
But, you know, to a lot of people, I think that's just a saying.
Right.
The message we want to convey during this celebration is, and this has been researched, this is factual, over the years, the history of Fayette County, now more than 10,000 people, men, women, have been involved in some branch of the military within our existence. And that's just from one county out of 92 in Indiana. And then that's just one state out of all the states and all the counties.
Wow.
So our message to everyone is, these are 10,000 flags representing something very specific, and that is the number of people that have served from Fayette County in the last 200 years. So when you look at that, you realize freedom really isn't free after all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And it plays in greatly with something else that we have worked all through our planning. We have worked to surround another activity which is planned for this same Saturday on the 18th. Adrian Ellis and some folks have been working hard behind the scenes for a number of years now to bring back the Armed Forces Parade.
Right.
And a lot of people no longer remember that Connorsville used to host the largest Armed Forces Parade in the state of Indiana.
Really?
That was back in the 80s. And it kind of went away after some folks passed away. You know, it takes work to put something like that on. Well, when the leadership kind of faded, then the parade faded and finally stopped. Adrian Ellis, who is our local head of emergency management, part of Homeland Security, his dream for years now has been to bring that Armed Forces Parade back as a tribute to veterans of all periods. And so what we have done with the bicentennial is plan our Saturday activities, and I've used this expression and this gesture. We wanted our activities to surround and enhance their plans for Saturday. So we are basically shutting down our activities during the midday Saturdays because we want everybody to come and be a part of that parade. So if there's a veteran out there that sees this, we would hope they will contact Adrian Ellis about being in the parade. This is a tribute to them, all veterans.
Wow.
And they can contact Adrian. We have a phone number, 825-9422. That would be Emergency Management Office. And we would certainly hope that all veterans would want to be in the parade. Then we would certainly hope that all the family, friends, neighbors of would want to be there to watch those veterans. Right. It's all about honoring those veterans. And clearly, why wouldn't anybody want to do that? It kind of goes back to the 10,000 flags.
Right.
If we understand what they really represent and what Adrian's trying to do with his parade, then there should be a mega turnout just to watch that. And our activities, and Jackie will talk about some of our entertainment, much of what we have planned has been planned around the idea of enhancing this parade on Saturday.
That's awesome.
Would you like to discuss some of our patriotic entertainment?
Yeah, we, on Friday night, we have it's called the Tom Doherty Orchestra. That is a Glenn Miller tribute band.
Oh, wow.
And they play a lot of the Armed Forces music as well. Yeah. And Daniel Rodriguez
Oh,
the
right.
singing
Yeah, the
911 policeman.
yeah.
He will be there on Thursday night. Concert times are from 7 to 9 both nights. And of course, they're both free. And we're hoping that we can fill the amphitheater
Right.
for both of those events.
Yeah, Rodriguez has been here before, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I think he's been here several times.
Yeah.
So people are very well aware
Yeah.
of his voice and his
Yeah.
magnitude of voice and what he brought forward after the 911. So we're anxious to see him again. And then the Glenn Miller Band, tribute band with the Tom Doherty Orchestra.
Wow.
And then on Saturday night we have some local bands that will be there, and then of course Sunday we have the ice cream social. So
Gotta have an ice cream social.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
free ice cream.
Oh.
All they need to do is come to the headquarters, in front of the headquarters Sunday,
Yeah.
and we have free coupons for up to $3. Which is the one scoop of ice cream, bowl of ice cream, and those are big scoops. Those are big scoops.
And not just any ice cream, it's Ulrich's ice cream
Yeah,
that everybody
Ulrich's
around
ice
here
cream.
knows.
I think
Yeah.
I'm gaining weight. The guys in the back are gaining weight. We're all gaining weight
Yeah.
here, Jackie.
Yeah.
You know, we're all used to seeing them here Fair Week.
Right.
And everybody that ever goes to the fair know there's a constant line
You gotta
there
go there. Always, yeah.
every time. It's a little unusual to see them here in May, like
Right.
we're going to have them. They're bringing the whole thing. The hit and miss will be here, so people will be able to see that ice cream being made just like they normally do. And they'll also be able to see me eating some of that.
Right,
ice cream.
right. I'll be right there with you, Mike. I'll buy yours since it's free, right?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, well,
Thanks so much.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, no problem.
Yeah.
So you got some family-friendly events.
Oh yeah,
coming up here.
yeah.
For,
They're we have the Cemetery Association is doing a bus tour through the Pioneer. I don't want to say primitive. The Pioneer cemeteries. We have a lot of Revolutionary War soldiers buried, Civil War.
Where's this?
Soldiers.
I don't know if I've ever. Where's this at?
Oh, there's 110 Pioneer cemeteries in Fayette County.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Neither does
Yeah.
anybody else.
Yeah.
And so one of the things we're wanting
That'd
to
be
do there,
fantastic.
we're wanting to bring attention to what our local cemetery commission does. That's a small group, 5
Right.
or 6 members. They're trying to keep up all these outlying cemeteries. They're also trying to raise awareness of the history that's represented. You know, everything from Revolutionary War folks to different people that have had key parts to play in Fayette County's earlier history. We know of a former judge that's buried in one of the cemeteries south of Connersville in an outlying cemetery. He had to have worked directly with John Connor in the very beginning before Fayette County was even formed.
Yeah.
Oh.
And because we know that because John Connor was the first sheriff of Fayette County, and this judge was one of the first 3 judges ever in the history of Fayette County. And he was here prior to the county even being formed. So we know when we step on the farm where that guy once lived, we know we're stepping on ground that goes back to the planning. We suspect this gentleman, his name was Webb, we suspect that he and John Connor had direct communications about the formation and operation of the very earliest era of Fayette County.
Well, you talk about that, and we're 200 years from the beginning of Fayette County, and I've always wondered how our county got its. We have that lip up there in Bentonville that kind of adds. How the formation of the county is. Do you guys know the history of that? How it's.
Not precisely, but I can tell you there were, I think there was a lot of debates and probably even some contentious debates back in the day. You know, when you read of how counties were formed and sometimes even how states were formed,
Right.
like Oklahoma, for instance, it's got that long, narrow
Right.
neck.
Right.
Well, that's because of a big dispute, and the settlement was development of what seems like an unlikely boundary. We know that Fayette County would at one time have been considerably larger, but as the state was forming this, they broke off the area east of us that became Union County. So,
So we were a part of Union County?
No, there was no Union County.
There was
Union
no.
County was formed after
Wow.
us.
Okay.
But the original idea was Fayette County would have been much larger and would have encompassed some of that land. So,
Wow.
you know, there were no doubt a lot of forces at work back then, probably just like today. Everybody had their own idea of how best to position themselves, we think.
Yeah.
And yeah, the neck on Fayette County looks a little strange on the map, but
Right.
we think there was probably some discussions like that
Well,
behind it.
it makes me know where it's at when I'm looking
Well,
at it, weather
yeah.
radar. You know, it makes
You
me
know,
know where we're at.
We
Yeah.
have used that in our logo and in our advertising because of all the counties. That silhouette, you know, even if somebody's not familiar with it, if they hunt far enough, there's no mistaking us.
Right, yeah.
Because that is a unique outline.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have all of these events coming up, and how long did it take for you guys to come up with an order of events? Because obviously you want to lead into something, you know, the next event leading into the other. How long did that take?
Some of our earliest discussions starting, we were asked by the tourism board, the Fayette County Tourism Board, to take on this project. And that was in about mid-July. We met less than a week later, we being the Bicentennial Committee. Jenny and I immediately got on the phone. Jackie was one of the very first phone calls. Ed Harrell was another one because he was a key player last time around. Pat Suman, Sue Ann Flum, Walker, and her husband Steve, and you know, it goes on and on.
Right.
But anyway, in less than 1 week, we had already formed what we thought would be the nucleus of the committee, what we called the steering committee, and we met. It wasn't even quite a week, and the feeling of the need to immediately jump into it was the fact that we knew last time we had like 3.5 years to plan
Right.
for the city. This time we were already down to 10 months and counting.
Right.
And none of us had literally planned anything because none of us knew we were going to be a part of this.
Yeah. And we submitted our ideas
Yeah.
on what we would like to see. There must have been 50, 60 different ideas that were brought up, and out of those, then we pulled ones
them
that we
down.
thought we could bring.
We actually asked folks to bring those ideas starting that very first meeting. Because, you know, you alluded to it earlier, we had an idea of how this could flow
Right.
this time.
Right.
Last time we felt like we were in the dark, you know, for
Dark,
months.
right. Yeah.
And so we kind of hit the ground running this time, and I think that past experience and having people, you know, if Jenny and I did anything, you know, really right, it was that we got the right people
got the right
involved
people.
to back us up.
Yeah.
That goes back to something a gentleman told me back about 2010 or maybe 2011. Earl Grohl was a gentleman here locally that was he was co-chairman of the 1963 Connersville Sesquicentennial.
Yeah.
I was a kid then, and to this day, I still think of that as one of the greatest experiences of growing up in Connersville.
Yeah, I think
or
we
around.
talked about that at the fair. Yeah.
Well, Earl Grohl told me something way back then, shortly, I mean like just a few months before he unfortunately passed away. I was talking to him about 1963, and I said, Earl, how did you plan anything that big and that successful? His answer was very direct and very straightforward. He got the right people around him that would get the job done,
Yeah,
that he could
right.
count on.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't claim to remember or follow everything I'm told, but that one I took
You
to
remember,
heart.
Yeah.
And I remembered it, and we did that in 2013, and so, you know, naturally we fell into that routine this time. It's why I can sit here right now and tell you that Jenny and I we have every confidence this is going to come off just like we have envisioned it in there.
Yeah.
Because we have the right people behind it. We know they've done their homework. It's going to be something that everybody's going to be proud of.
Yeah, looking at this event here, we got the Kiwanis Pancake Breakfast. I mean, some of the pre-events. Looking at this and this fabulous book again. Pick it up where, Jackie?
At the headquarters,
At the
Red
headquarters.
Cross Building, Roberts Park.
Yeah,
And it's
pick
free.
this up, and it's free. So
Yeah.
pick this up. Look at this event planner. I would not, you know, just at first glance, had I not known this, I would have thought, gosh, this probably took years.
Yeah.
Years to put together. Because, I mean, everything is planned strategically. But 10 months, that's just...
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, the whole idea was from the beginning, and again, it fell back on some experience with all of the main players of our group. How could we set this up so it would flow? Now, if you think about what I said earlier about the armed forces thing, then you realize why we picked a very patriotic theme for through the Singing Policeman for Thursday evening.
Right, yeah.
We picked obviously a very patriotic theme for our concert on Friday evening. And the reason we did that, and the reason why the 10,000 flags was the very first thing that we asked the Tourism Board for approval. Of all the things there, and see, we work basically for the Tourism Board.
Right.
So all things on this brochure, all of the major activities have been approved through them.
Yeah.
The very first one we asked for was the 10,000 flags, and then it was the 2 entertainments I just mentioned. And there again, it all went back to what can we do to surround the armed forces. I'm a veteran. We've got other veterans on our group, but you know, this community has always supported veterans.
Always.
We have a long
Always.
history of
Yeah.
that. And it was and is about entertainment and everything to ramp up enthusiasm on Thursday night, Friday night. So then when Saturday gets here, everybody's going to be jazzed up and ready to participate either in the parade or as a viewer of the parade to honor the veterans. So that's important.
You hit the nail on the head. The veterans is what, God bless you for serving. I mean, not just the sacrifices, you think of, the ultimate sacrifice, somebody gives their life for us to be free. Mm-hmm. You spent time away from your family. You were overseas. Whatever sacrifice you made it so that way I can be here on this television screen, flapping my gums, or on the radio, or whatever. And I appreciate that you guys are that, because that is our history. We wouldn't be free or be here without that. So again, looking at this program, I'm sure that when you guys made the first phone call to the many sponsors in here, and there are, it seemed like all of Fayette County came out here to support this. I'm sure they were all gung-ho ready to support.
Well, there's where we need to give another little explanation. All those sponsors don't just fall out of the sky or out of the woodwork. Part of the core, behind the scenes thing that is required is that you have people in each, Jackie is logistics. Mm-hmm. Vicki Beatty and her husband Robin took on the responsibility early on of working to gain sponsors. She's the one that made countless phone calls and went out and visited repeated trips. Every sponsor on there is a result of the efforts of our person in charge of fundraising. Yeah. And so the lesson to anybody in the future that wants to do something successfully in this type of community project, get your core group assembled. Yeah. You get those core people in those positions, and then just kind of stand back and watch it unfold.
So basically, you're saying you're probably not going to do the 250th?
I think we're going to set that one out.
Yeah, the Sister Centennial, I think we're going to set that one out.
Is that what it's called? Yeah,
Sister,
yeah.
Well, we're going to set that one out.
And the funny thing about you bringing that up, we all thought we were done ever saying the word bicentennial after 2013.
Right, yeah.
It took till about February or so of 2014 to finish up the last of the paperwork and all that. Yeah. Then our group was disbanded. We thought, well, that's it. We put away all of our information home, never see it again. We had to drag it all back out. Yeah. So, but we have said, we think this is the last bicentennial.
Yeah. I think for a lot of it. But again, the legacy that you guys leave behind. You're playing a very historical part. Yeah. You remember Earl back in '63. You may have said something to a kid here in 2019 who in 2069 is going to go, I remember that Mike Sparks guy, or Jackie.
Yeah.
Well, we don't care whether they remember, I don't care whether they remember me.
Right.
We want them to remember what was done.
Yeah.
And the celebration. I had chances to leave Connersville and go other places in past years. I am so thankful that I did not act on that. I am a hometown person. Jackie and I are both natives of Fayette County. And I can't imagine calling anywhere else home.
I'm a transplant.
Sometimes we go other places to shop and so on. So, you know, you hear all that stuff. And it's fun to go visit places.
Right.
Never, ever have we been
No place like
anywhere
home.
that
Right.
we haven't, after about a week and a half, we're ready to come home.
Yeah.
This is our home.
Right.
This is our heritage. And it's why we wanted to be part of this, not once, but twice when we were asked, because, you know, if you have the kind of deep-rooted feelings many of us have about our home community area, it's a little hard to say no when you're asked to do something like this.
Right.
I think we're going to learn how, though, maybe after this.
Right, yeah, you're finally perfecting it.
But the point is, we're involved with this because we want the rest of the community to experience the same feelings of respect for and thankfulness for being able to grow up in Fayette County, Indiana, and experience. There's sometimes trials, and sometimes we think, gee, why couldn't we be more like? But the bottom line is, there really is no place like home.
Right.
And
Dorothy was right.
In these 4 days of celebration, it's going to be all about putting our best foot forward and showing the rest of the world, particularly starting with our own folks, hey, there are reasons why we're still here.
Right.
And there's a lot to be proud of.
There are a few other events we'd like to mention too.
Yes.
The Native American history, Larry Keller is going to be doing 3 events on Thursday
Yep.
at 10, 2, and 5. He has an hour and a half presentation and artifacts, because our history does include the Native Americans.
Oh, right.
So
Sure.
we want to emphasize that too. We want people to come out and get that history. Saturday morning, Randy Ollis will be here, the infamous weatherman.
Yeah, we love Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'll be here at the Miller Building on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock to give a speech. So.
Awesome.
Yeah,
There might even be a few donuts.
yeah.
I'm going to gain a lot of weight I'm pretty sure that, and I've been on my diet, so.
For 4 days.
Hey, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, you talk about leaving, and there has been people that has left, and we've had some. The whole purpose of the show originally was to highlight those who had left and made names for themselves, and I love Matt McClutchin up there at Channel 13, because he always incorporates Connorsville. He still comes back all the time because his parents living out in Bentonville, next to the Suman.
Yeah, well, he was here for the fish fry last weekend.
Yeah, I love Matt. Sean Compton, if you ever watched WGN, sometimes there's reference to Connorsville on WGN. WGN America, a big cable network, because Sean is part of that. Yeah, and you talk about, no matter where you go, Fayette County stays with you. And ideally, you want people to come back who may have moved.
And we hope a lot of them will come back for these 4 days and will participate in the events, go to the events, and be here especially for the parade.
And you guys have a Facebook page, or?
Yes, Facebook page. It's Fayette County Bicentennial-Indiana, and we're keeping up-to-date information on there as to events and information, and they can always get the up-to-date information at headquarters.
Now, as we get ready to close, I'm telling you, we could probably go on for another hour.
We could.
Definitely.
Or more.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe get into the next episode, whatever. Can somebody still help?
Oh,
are
yes.
You guys still looking for volunteers?
We are definitely needing volunteers.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to volunteer, they can most assuredly come to headquarters. We have several things that we need help on. So they can come up there, and we can most definitely give them something that they can help with.
We could also use help on the grounds during the 4 days up at the park.
Yeah.
Even with some security things for night security and things like that. So, anybody who has not up till now but would like to be a part of this, we'll find a place for you, and we would be very grateful.
Yeah, very grateful.
Great. Mike, Jackie, we'll see you guys during this big event.
Okay.
And we'll see you guys next month on The Spot.